Hello everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Zachariah the Ghost. Guys, I continue with mountains, rivers, and caves. So don't be confused when you see the title being changed. It's because of I am trying to monetize the channel to YouTube. And the first application was rejected because of duplication. They said they see, the same titles over and over again. So I should edit the titles and I should delete some of the videos so that YouTube can accept me to the partner program. So it is still the same story. I'll continue from the story that I was telling you before. I think it was episode 13 or 14. So we continue, guys. So as I was telling you, I was at home with my father at the place called Messina. And I remember after spending a night with my father told me so many things. And one thing that, I can never forget is when he told me that when he looked at me, he feel ashamed because he saw all the pain I went through. And unfortunately, he couldn't help me because of the way like family politics. My mother's family, they didn't accept him in the family. And that's the reason why he decided to go with my mother and start a new life to a new village. And this is the village that mom and dad decided to come and start their family. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for them. And mom has to go back to, her mother's place in another village. But that is the story for another episode. So now I am going back to my father's land. I am going to fight for my father's land because there is some people who took that land and now it belongs to them. And God decided to send me there so that I can go and fight for my father's land and also be in a position whereby they will perform the ancestral, ceremony for me because my ancestors were not happy. I was supposed to go there and fight. I remember even my father was saying, my son, you have grown and you are more powerful than me when I was your age because you are going to fight battles that I couldn't fight. You are going to fight the battle that I ran away from. And you are young. You don't need to be in that place and go to fight the same battle that I lost. You were supposed to be in Johannesburg. You were supposed to be in school. But it is all my fault because of you are looking for me, whereby I was supposed to be the one looking for you and helping you. So he saw everything which happened to me. He saw, how the mob justice wanted to kill me when I was 10. But that is the story for another day because I was at the other village. Because after mom left, this village, they went to the village where my grandfather and my grandmother has a house. And that's where I got into trouble when I was 10. But now I will tell that story the other day. So I remember my father gave me 200 rand. And he said, let's go to the hiking spot so that you can get the taxi to go home. Now, I was coming to this place to come and do the preparation. So while we were waiting at the bus stop, there were no cars. Because at the village, you need to know that, transportation, it's very scarce. It's very difficult to get cars. And there are those who own cars and they don't want to, have people in their cars. Because of at home, there is these things of witchcraft and all these lot of things. Everybody knows when they say witchcraft in Limpopo, people know. So people are avoiding that a lot. So people are not giving people lift, but for different reasons. Some others, they don't want to be robbed or hijacked by people. It's different reasons, of course. But the main reason is that people, they don't want anybody to be in their car and, bring their own things in their car. And they start having, the car accidents. So while we were waiting there at the bus stop, there comes this guy who is driving, Hash, this Undertaker cars and everything. And my father stopped the guy, because we've been waiting there for a long time now. And he was fearing that it will be dark and I'm not going to be able to reach the village in time. So the guy who is driving, we call it Hash or the Undertaker, he stopped that car that they go and collect, corpses, people who just passed away. So the guy stopped and he wanted to give me a lift. And I remember when I was telling the guy, the driver, I said, look, I know my father cares for me and he wants me to get home safe, but I am not traveling with that car. I cannot go home in that car. He said, why? I said, look, it's been more than 20 years, since I've been with my father because he just disappeared. Now, I was told that I must come here and look for my father, and I found him. And I just found him yesterday. And now I'm going back to the village whereby we left this house like 20 years ago. And now I am not going back to my father's land in an undertaker. That cannot happen. I need you to understand that you see this man, he disappeared for many years, meaning my father. And there is no way I can go back to his house with this car. I appreciate you stopping by, but I'm not going there. Even if it was him, I was not going to allow my father to go back to his house, while he is being driven in this car. You're driving dead people here, man. And he was like saying, no, man, I'm empty, man. There is no one here, man. There is no one. I'm like, no, even if there was anybody or no one, I couldn't use the car. So the guy understood exactly what I was saying because I was telling him, our personal stories or our personal business. And he respected it because he understood, the courage of me going from Joburg to Messina, trying to find, my lost father or the father who just disappeared for many years, And he understood that the other car arrived, then I went home. And I remember my father gave me 200 rand. And he said, here is 200 bucks. I don't have money, but when I get paid month end, I'm going to send you money via post office. I said, no problem. Let me go home and let me see what I can do. I arrived at home and I found the house because the village is the village. People know people. I found the house, and one thing which was there, I realized there was a donkey cart there. I remember there was this donkey crawl where they were putting the donkeys in there. And I remember there was the old car. Yeah, you see the car which is covered by the tent, the green tent there. There was this car there, and behind the mud house, there was things that they planted. I remember there was sweet potatoes that they planted there and some other stuff that I cannot remember. But I remember they were using that land, to plant things. And the gate was locked. Of course, the first thing that I did, I went to the neighbors and I greeted them. I introduced myself. I told them who I am. And they were happy to see me, But when I told them that I'm back and we are going to have, the ancestral ceremony there, and they were not happy. Because you can see their faces, because I remember, the man in that house, or the husband, because I don't know if they were married or not, because, sometimes people in the village, they just have children, have a house, and stay together there. I remember he was telling his wife that, I will just say the husband, he was telling his wife that, I told you that one day his children will come back. And when they come back, it's going to be a problem. But during that time, I didn't understand what was going on. Because there were bricks which were there. There was a foundation of 2-room or 3-room which was already laid out there. And there was a car, of course, like I said. And I didn't understand what was going on. I only find out later that their first daughter, was supposed to build a house there so that she can be close to her family because she was not married. They were like saying, since you are not married and you cannot stay, in our house forever, let's give you this other land whereby you can build yourself a house and you can, come and stay with your children. That was the original plan. That's why the bricks were there. But the foundation, I had that my father tried to come back and build a house there. But they fought him and he couldn't continue with his building construction. Because I told you, my father is a builder. So he tried to build his own house. But they fought him because of it's been years without being in that land. And also there was a fight or a war between the two royal people who wanted to be the king. And they were siding with the other guy who was challenging the king, which was ruling the village. So that other guy who was challenging the king, he told them that if you support me, I am giving you the land. If you support me, I give you this and I give you that. So that's the reason why they supported him. Now, at the end, he didn't win. But because of we were not there, they still claimed the land. But they couldn't go and change the papers because of they are not in good books with the king which is ruling the village. So they had the whatever agreement that they had with the guy who was challenging to be the king. But I didn't know all of that. So I saw that they were not happy. They were starting to, having a fight amongst them. So I was like, okay, I just wanted to tell you guys that I am here and I'm going to do this and that in my father's land. They kept quiet because of, you saw in the picture there, I was just wearing formal. I always loved formal and I always loved black and white. And I will still go back to formal because identity is very much important. So I went back to the house, checked, looked around. This is the type of pictures that I took. Like I told you that I was carrying the camera everywhere I was going. So I took these pictures, and I started fixing the house. It wasn't this way. There was no window. I started taking, the corrugated oil, cut it into pieces now, and I made a window so that I can stay in this house because I had nowhere to go. The door right there, it wasn't looking this way. So I had to go and fix the door and do stuff so that I can stay in. The previous pictures that I shared where you saw me having some few, stuff in the house, it was because of I was starting all over again in this house. So I started cleaning, making sure that the land becomes clean. And I started arranging, things like a home, you start asking around, where can I get water? Where can I get stuff, And the roofing was in this way. I had to go and get the stones there and put the corrugated irons on top of this mud house and put the stones on top so that if, the weather can be windy or whatever, the corrugated irons cannot just, flew over the roof. So I put all these things on top. These are the things that I found in the house, in my father's land. So I put everything there. Then I had a wire that I used to hold them together, so that at least I can have roof over my head while I'm sleeping in this house. And I find out that there was already electricity because of now they already registered for the electricity box. If you can look, closely in this house, you will see that there is a small box, the white box there. That's the electricity meter number right there, meter box. So they already applied for electricity. They just wanted to build a house and make it their home. But now my arrival caused problems. And that's where war started. And we all know that war is brutal, war is bloody. People don't come out alive. It's always a problem when people are fighting. And here I was, a young man who don't know nothing much. I was just told to go home and fight for my father's land. And I went there because I believe in God, because I always believed that God walks before me, and my faith made me kept going, made me kept, believing that I can win the victory. And because I saw how they were not happy, a day or 2 days later, I decided to go to the royal house. There is an office right there. So when you arrive there at the office, that's where they can help you with any problem that you want. But this time I didn't go there because I wanted them to help me with the problem I was having with the neighbors. I went there because I wanted to pay for the annual tax. Because I know that at the rural area, there is the tax that they're paying every year. It is not much. The money, it is not much. But if you don't pay that, when you are going to apply for an ID or you want to go to police station and have certain stuff, you cannot have them without the royal letter. You need to go to the royal house so that they can give you a letter and you can come and say, under the leadership of King so and so, I am here to apply for this and that. And now when it has, the royal stamp and everything, at the police station or at whatever you're going, they make things easy, Because at some places, before we use things like proof of resident that come right now, they just mail it now. You just get an email, you get this and that of proof of resident. In the rural area, we don't use that. We go to the royal house and we ask for a letter. And when the king or the royal house write you a letter with the stamp and everything, and when you go to any police station or wherever you go, they know that you are from this village under the leadership of this king. So that's how things are done at home. So if you are in debt, you are not paying the tax, they will deny you that letter. So what I did was like saying, let me go by the book, let me do things the right way. And I went there and I told them that my father sent me to come and pay for his bills since he's been a while without paying. And I didn't know that they always get excited when somebody comes and say, I want to pay my annual tax, because of people are not paying tax. A lot of people are in debt, and that's the reason why they started saying, if you are not paying your tax, we are not going to give you the royal letter. So when they see somebody coming to the office and saying, I want to pay, they quickly open the books. I just told them the names, the stand number, and I remember the lady there at the office without asking too many questions, because of I brought money to the office and I wanted to pay. She started opening the books, and guess what? We find out that my father is still the rightful owner of that land. That was a smart move. And she said, how much do you want to pay? I said, no, tell me the balance, how much my father owes, so that we can know what's going on, because my father will be here month end. So now I want to pay a bit, and we will pay the rest of the money when my father arrives. We are going to make a ceremony here. We're going to slaughter a goat and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that everything is, in order. So she opened there and she said, your father owes 560, I remember, because of there was a time whereby we were fighting with the other king who wanted to claim our land, and we had to call a community meeting whereby each and every house has to donate 50 rand so that we can hire a lawyer that can go and represent the village. So that's why you see this 50 rand is for that lawyer, and this 50 rand is by the time, the village was not having water, and we had to call the meeting, and people had to donate like 50 rand each and every house, so that we can buy the machine that can, pump water for the whole village, because the machine was broken. She started all these things so that I will understand why the bill is like over 500, because most of the time people will pay maybe 120 rand or 150 rand if they were not paying the annual tax for that law. So now she was updating me with all those things, and that was the good information that I needed, because of, even there is a person who goes to, the place where they have to switch on the machine and everything. That person is using the bicycle. There is a way that the village puts like 10 rand each, so that that person can get paid every month. So that's how the system was, being operated back in the days in the rural area. And everybody understood that there must be somebody who will be in the security space, whereby they must look after those machines so that, the thieves cannot come at night and steal the community, properties. So they had to pay those people. That's why the bill went up. So I had no problem with that. And I paid 100 rand. I remember my father, because he gave me 200 rand. I paid 100 bucks. And for me to take the trip home, I was already thinking ahead of saying, if I cannot find my father, I need to catch a taxi from Messina to go back to Joburg. Now, fortunately, everything happened. So the money that I was supposed to go back to Joburg with, it was the money that I can use, to buy food until my father can send me money month end. So now the 200 that he gave me, I decided to take 100 bucks and I paid our family debt. And now the money that I was supposed to go back to Johannesburg with is the money that I was using. So I just wanted to put that so you'll understand that, I had some money that I can use in the rural area because of I didn't take the trip back to Johannesburg, Gauteng. So once I paid there, she had no choice but to give me the receipt because he has to put everything in books so that I paid $100. The balance it will be like 460, and they gave me the receipt. It is under my father's name and everything is still there. And I was happy because now I had the receipt. When I go back to my father's land, I knew that now I have a proof, I have a receipt that this land belongs to my father. So I started cleaning the place and I was getting comfortable. And I remember one day, the neighbor was telling me that, who are you? And what are you doing to my land? That's my house. Because now the house belongs to the daughter, because he gave that land to the daughter. So I was shocked because I was busy cleaning the place. And I was like, what do you mean your land? He said, no, that's my place. I'm like, no, it can't be your place. This place belongs to my father. So it became, exchange of words. And he got very angry and he said, wait, I'm coming. So he went to the house and I knew that he was going to fetch something. He was going to fetch the gun or something. And I remember he came back fuming. And he said, are you still here? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. This is my father's land. And he looked at me, he went back and he spoke with his wife. I continued with what I was doing. Within 20 minutes, I saw cars stopping to their yard, like to their place at their front gate. 2, if not 3 cars. Guys came approaching to my direction. And on that day, I have to be honest, and I was like, okay, I know the story. I know how it will end. They decided to call their family so that they can beat me to death. This is something which is not new to that village. It is known. If they are beating somebody to death and they don't set you alight, it doesn't give them satisfaction. They need to do that so that they feel satisfied. The village is known by doing that. And now I knew what was coming. And I knew that it was late for me to run. And I knew that running will make things worse. Because once I ran, I showed weakness. And I am not a fast runner. They are going to catch me. And it will be horrible for me. So I decided to stand my ground. And I took the spade that I was using to clean the land. And I put it on my shoulder. I removed the t-shirt. And I spoke loud. And I said, if there is anybody who think they can leave their father's house and come to somebody's father's house and kill that person for that house, they should think again, because I am not going alone. I am ready to fight and I'm ready to die for this land. And there will be blood on this land. And to kill me, yes, you are going to kill me. But I'm not dying alone. 3 or 4 of you guys I'm going with. And I saw them, standing to the other side of the fence, wanting to come to my side. But there was something in me, because I was breathing different. Because I heard that later by the neighbors, because the way I was talking, I, made that loud, noise in a way that my tone was so high in a way that the neighbors had to come out because they understood that there is something which was going on. And when they came out, they found me, topless with a spade on my shoulder. And I was saying those words, telling them. But they said the way I was breathing like a beast or like an animal, or there was just something in my body that, I was just breathing different, heavy. But I know what was going on. Because they had what they had, they saw what they saw, but what was in me, it was fear. The way I was breathing, I was struggling to breathe because of fear. And I knew that the way these guys are ready to approach this place, I will have to fight for myself. And there is no way I can win against these guys. I have to use the spade. And that means I have to kill some of them. And it was not an easy thing to do. And I was silently praying and asking God that, is this what you send me here to do? Because it cannot end like this. Because I knew that it was going to be a brutal death. I knew that those guys, they were not there to talk. They were there to send a strong message. And I was questioning God. And I was like, God, this cannot happen this way. I know I've been through a lot. I spent nights in the mountains and rivers, but it cannot end like this. I need you right now. You need to help me so that I can get through this. And I remember that time I was restless, because I was just walking around. I was just walking around and looking at them, walking around. I couldn't sit. And I remember my neighbor's wife, what she said, when she said, Motloheleng kitau otlalija lepela, means leave him alone. He is a lion. He will eat you alive. Those were the exact words that she said. And now I remember there was this other guy who wanted to jump the fence so bad. He was holding the fence and he wanted to jump the fence. He just wanted to take me out with all his heart. Because now later we heard that he was a very close family member. So he was told that there is this young man who is disrespecting, his uncle. So he wanted to come and fight for his uncle. And guys, join me when I tell you what exactly happened on part 2 of this, because I am sharing my story. Thank you.